Hello and welcome to Python series episode 2. In the previous episode, we looked at the introduction of Python and some few simple codes. In this episode, it's all about variables. What is a variable? Types of variable names, rules for variables, how to assign multiple variables, output them, global, and many more. So let's get started. First, as we always do, create a new file for each episode. So episode2.py. The first thing is to know about variable is to know what is a variable. Variable are containers for storing data values. Just like your lunchbox to store your lunch, the variable stores data values. One speciality about Python is that you don't need to declare a variable, saying declare that giving a identifier variable name and giving the data type. You don't need to do that. Just give the name and give the value. For example, give the variable a value of 17. Give the variable n a string, suppose my name. So done. That's it. Your variable has been created and given a data to store. To check whether these variable works or not, just give it a simple print function, print a and print n. Execute it, and in the terminal we'll get the values inside each of these variables, which is for variable a it is 17 and variable n it is my name Sharky is being outputted. We know that the value in variable a is an integer and the variable n is string. But does Python know? Is it displayed over here? No, it just displays the value inside it. So to display the type of data inside the variable, just give the function type and the variable. We'll do the same thing for n, type and the variable. So when we do, we have the first one as integer. Int is for integer and 2 is for string. Now I want the 17 to be a float. A float is something which has a decimal point. So 19.99 is a float. 2023.0001 it is a float. But when I give a random integer, when I give it a random number, that's an integer. It doesn't have any decimal points. But the same number can be a float if I give 2.0, 2.0, that is a float. I want to convert the 17 into a float. So all I will do is give the data type, open bracket and close it. And if I execute it, it is giving us float. But I want to print. How does it come? Because float has decimal, right? So when I give print a, let's remove the fifth line because we don't need them. It is 17.0. In the terminal you can see it as 17.0. So this method is called casting. You are giving it a value and you are specifying what the data type of the value should be. I can give the same 17 as a string, and if I print it, it will come as a normal 17. But then when I give the type of what it is, then give it a type, it will come as string. The value 17 is a string, not an integer. The first one we did, n is equal to string. So for the string, should we need to use double quotes or single quote? Both of the quotes will be accepted. I can also give it as single quote and give the same variable, and both will work. If you've noticed here, I've used the same alphabet n as the variable, but do two different cases. The first one is a lowercase and the below one is an uppercase. Let me change the value inside to it as my name. Will this, when I give print n and give print capital N. This will not override because Python's variable names are case sensitive. So it takes it as two different variables. But with the same variable, if I change this to N and I'll remove the bottom one and when I execute it, I'm getting the value shard key. But the first one I've given it as string and then I've assigned it as shard key. So in Python, the code is being read from top to bottom, right from line 1 to line 4. The first line I've given the variable the value string, but in the second line I've given it the value shard key. So it has been overwritten, and when I print it, I'm getting whatever the value is being stored last. Now the next we look at variable names. As like rules of keeping our names, we cannot keep our name as 1 2 3. So same as there are rules for variables. The variable name must start with a letter or an underscore character. I can either start it with a letter. This is my variable, so I've started with a letter name, or I can start it with a underscore. Both will be accepted. A variable name cannot be started with a number. So if I give it as 23 NAM is equal to random value 0. So as you can see, this is not taken as a variable name. The 23 is in red. It cannot be taken as a variable name at all. A variable name can only contain alphanumeric characters. Alphanumeric characters are A to Z, both cases, upper and lower, and 0 to 9. These are alphanumeric characters. A variable name can contain alphanumeric characters and underscore. Variable names are case sensitive. As we looked a few minutes ago, when I put small n and I have a capital N, both are different. So let's take the variable age, the same thing as all caps. These two are different, and capital AG is also different. These three are three different variables. They are not the same. They are three different variables. Now all these have a single word. All these variables have a single word. But suppose when you're creating a bigger program, you cannot just name it as age. You should name it as my age or user's age. That's how you'll be writing it. So to do that, to make it more easier to read, there are three cases. One is called camel case, where you will write your variable, the whole words variable, except the first word. The others start with a capital letter. So let's the example which we are taking over here is my var age. That is the variable we are going to use. For the camel case, it is my capital VAR capital AGE. That's how this is a camel case. The second case is called a Pascal's case. Pascal case. In the Pascal case, every word starts with the capital letter. So M is capital, V is capital, and A is capital. The third case is a snake case. Snake. In this case, you will be adding underscore to separate each words, which is my underscore var underscore age. So these are the techniques to make your multi-word variable more readable. In all of these cases, we have been assigning one value, which is either an integer, string, or even a float. But let's try to give multiple variables multiple values in a single line. Instead of giving a is equal to 0, instead of giving a is equal to 0, b is equal to 1, and c is equal to 2, we have used 3 lines. you can give it as a comma b comma c is equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3 or 0 comma 1 comma 2. So now the first variable is given the first value, the second variable is given the second value, and so on. Now if you're trying to give one value to multiple variables, for example a is equal to 0, b is equal to 0 and c is equal to 0, the variables a, b and c have the same value 0. To give that, you can simply write a is equal to b is equal to c, which is equal to 0. So now all these three variables contain the same value 0. To output the variables you have created, the first option is to use the function print. You'll output it. But if you have multiple variables, let's say you have x is equal to 0, y is equal to this word high, and z is equal to, let's say, a float 10.12. This is the thing you have. If you want to give it in a different lines, you can write print x, print y and print z. These are the options to give it in a separate lines. So if I execute it, you'll get 0, high and 10.12. But if you want to give it in the same line, if you want to output it on the same line, you just give x, comma, y, comma, z. Execute. Everything is on the same line. What are global variables? Global variables are nothing but variables which are created outside a function. They are known as global variables. Global variables can be used by everyone both inside of functions and outside. So we have a variable which a is equal to my name, Sharky. This is the variable. I'm creating a function. Let's create a function and say print my name is a space and plus, because we are adding, plus x. When you're using the plus symbol, plus a, if you're using the plus symbol with to combine all the variables, all three variables must be of the same data type. That is one. And let's execute my function. Done. Executing. I'm getting it as my name is Sharky. So you can also use this outside the function, and I can say print, let's give it a text, I'm known as space and plus a. It will also be working. My name is Sharky and I'm also known as Sharky. It is given outside the variable. So to wrap things up, in this episode we have looked at what is a variable, how to give variable names, how to assign multiple values into a single variable, or how to assign multiple values into multiple variables in the same line, and the different types of how to output a variable, and what is a global variable.